Namaste one and all. Today we will discuss about reflective approach. So reflective approach isn't a new approach. It's a very personalized type of approach in teaching as well as in learning. So first of all, let us try to understand what is reflection. So reflection is a self-initiated and self-regulated process of feedback, and it is directed towards self. So it's a self-generated or self-motivated as well as self-regulated action, activity, process, and it provides feedback to self. This is applicable to all people, not only teachers and learners, but everybody. That reflection on our actions. So that's uh, the basic meaning of reflection. It's a literal meaning, a fixing of the thoughts on something. That's the literal meaning of the term reflection. When we are looking for a mirror image of ourselves, so our thoughts will be fixed on our image, how I looks like. So that's it. We just viewed our image or reflection, and we have make some little things to modify our appearance. So it's a feedback to self. So similar kind of when we see our image in reflection, that similar kind of activity of reflecting our actions. So try to view back our actions. So when we are taken into consideration of teaching or learning, then it comes to reflection in education or reflective practice in education. It's a systematic process of reviewing experiences, actions, and practices. So that's it. It's a systematic process of reviewing experiences. So as teachers, we have different kinds of experiences while we are interacting with learners, experiences once we have uh, administering some tools or collecting some feedbacks from students. All these are, or when we are adopting a new strategy, all these times we have different kinds of experiences. So reviewing such experiences and reviewing our actions in the classrooms, for in the classroom or outside the classroom, on in any kind of learning context that we provide our actions, though we are following an online teaching. So we have to review it, how the actions, how the interventions for uh, for the benefit of students learning, students improvement, how far it is, or what are the struggles they are facing, etc. As well as different kinds of practices, methods, methodologies, then testing techniques, tools, all these things. So it's a systematic process or reviewing all. Then it allows to make links between experiences more meaningful. So we have different kinds of experiences, and this process of looking back, of process of reviewing, process of our own uh, reflection, analyzing the reflection will help us to link different experiences and to transform it into more meaningful. So we will get new meanings from it when we are looking back into our experiences. And for teachers, reflection enabled to ensure maximum progress in students. So if we are not at all following this reflective practice, we are just uh, take some classes and it goes on. The other day we will go to another topic, and such a way we will proceed. In the meantime, we will administer some test or tools or whatever it is, some kind of assessment, and the semester or the course or the program will goes on in such an way and it will end. So if as a teacher we look back into each of our actions and try to understand what impact it create in our learners, and when we collect some feedback from students about our actions, that also not only our thinking, but we have to collect something about an activity. If we are giving an assignment, and after giving an assignment, we can collect a feedback from students. How was it? How was the question? What was its difficulty? What difficulties they felt in doing the assignment, etc. So in such a way, if you are doing that, it will benefit students. The most benefited will be students. They will get maximum chances of progress, and it's a kind of learning from experience. That's the theoretical foundation of this reflection. Is it's a real learning from experiences. Because we have so much experiences, we are trying to learn from experiences. So that will be our new learning. Then it helps to decide what would do differently in next time. So that's the more uh, significant feature of reflection. If we are a reflective person, so we will have insight what we have to do next time in a similar kind of situation. So we have similar situations, numerous similar situations as teachers. So when uh, if I reflect upon my own activities, actions, experiences, practices of today, then naturally it will give an insight for me to apply or to change something for the next time or the next day or the next class. Then reflective teaching. So when we come into reflective teaching, it's self-assessment of teaching by examining its elements to identify and establish the reasons and strengths for strategies that followed. So that's a systematic process of self assessment. We are assessing ourselves, we are assessing our teaching, and we are examining all elements of our teaching from the preparation onwards. The preparation actually is behind the curtains. It is not uh, explicit in classroom, but we only know how much how or how well uh, do we prepare for the session, for the exam, for the preparation of setting of assignment or setting of questions, etc. And when we actually engage in teaching, different phases of teaching, and what it's concluding the lesson, and what about the level of attainment of learners, all these things included as the elements of our teaching or elements in our teaching. And we have to this analysis of our daily teaching to identify and establish the reasons and strengths why I choose this, why I choose a memory test, or why I choose a written test, or why I choose a multiple choice item, or why I choose this particular activity or specific example. And we should have a specific reason for that. So we have to find out that reason for including an activity or not including or excluding something, and the strength of the strategies that we are using. So nowadays it's an era of online teaching, and everybody is on the concept that online teaching means live teaching. It's not live teaching. There is uh, no, it is not mandatory that a learner should directly see the face of the teacher to learn something. It's not the face of the teacher, but how the concept or idea is presented is important. So the strength of uh, the practices, the strategies, because in online teaching, it will be a great problem for students to access the live classes. So some pre-recorded materials, uh, e-content, that will be more viable and more significant, so that learner can access it from anywhere at any time, on the depending on the availability of his time as well as connectivity. So what about the strategy? What are the strength of the strategy that we are following? And to identify the modification required for the next lesson or next activity. So that's the significance of reflection in teaching. So that's reflective teaching. We are looking up deeply into our all elements of our teaching. Then it's a looking back activity on what actually did in the classroom and think about the reasons for doing it. That's the activity actually. We are looking back into when once we complete our finish our class or finish our topic, we just looking back into that lesson, and means we are screening all these things, recapitulate all these things, what all things happen, how well or how good it was, and it think about the benefits for students and for oneself. So, two dimensions are there for reflective thinking. One is the benefits for students, how far it is benefited for students, and how far it is benefited for ourselves. Then reflective teaching is an activity for professional development. It's an activity for professional development also, because continuous reflection will refine us, transform us. We will have to strengthen our teaching capacity, different kinds of skill. If can eliminate something unnecessary behavior, because usage of some specific terminology is, we can see in various teachers that they are using some phrases necessarily or unnecessarily, and some kind of gestures or some form of presentation. All these things, there shall be some errors in our actions as well. We have to eliminate all those things, as well as we have to strengthen further our strong points. So that's about reflective teaching. Then significance of reflection. So significance, reflection is significant for all individuals, as we are said earlier, and in the context of education, it is significant for teachers as well as significant for learners. And in the case of teachers, it helps to collect, record, and analyze everything that happened in connection with a class. So that's why it's significant for teachers. It's a complete review of our daily teaching, daily classroom activity. So we have to continually review about all these things. We have to collect, record, and analyze various inclusions in the class, elements in the class, and it enables to develop understanding of own teaching. We will get a deep understanding of our own teaching. And in the case of learners, reflection helps to learn more about ourselves and how we learn. Thus, it helps to improve learning. So, as learners, if I am a learner, when I reflect upon my own learning, then only I could understand how uh, easily, or what are the difficulties for me in the process of learning, in the process of processing information, in the process of acquiring new knowledge. So what are the hindrances or what are the problems and how I can overcome those? That will naturally improve that learning also. So it's significant both for teachers and learners, and there are various benefits for reflection. It will strengthen emotional intelligence as it is an introspection because looking into ourselves. So it's uh, highly beneficial in developing our EQ, then developing integrity because it will gradually reduces the errors that can occur arises from our teaching or learning, whatever it is. So if we are able to eliminate maximum errors, naturally the integrity in teaching or integrity in learning will be enhanced. So it helps to develop integrity. Naturally it will help us to take accurate or correct decisions. Then being more confident when we are uh, doing this reflection regularly, naturally our confidence will be increases. Then bring improvements in daily teaching. That's natural. When we are collecting feedback and need some changes and do some changes in our action practices, preparation, administration, etc. Naturally, our daily teaching will improve. We will be professionally more developed, and more importantly, teaching will become more learner centered because learners are important. Only when we are looking back in a point of view of students, then only we can make some required changes in our teaching to become it more learner oriented. So these are the benefits of reflection, reflective teaching. And there are mainly two types of reflection. According to Sean, there are two types of reflection. One is reflection in action and reflection on action. So a reflection in action is looking into on practices. So that's a, type of reflection. When we are teaching, we are already discussed that. So reflection of our own strategies, our own actions, our own examples, illustrations, our own way of asking questions, all those things come in that reflection in action. So all our actions, we are looking into our own actions or our own practices. And reflection on action is meant to identify new strategies. So there are some existing pattern for all these things or existing strategies or existing method for doing things. So to evolve something different, the practice we have to for to modification of the practice, not for the practice of the self, but we have to change something to evolve something new. So say for example, uh, we have naturally our practice of submitting assignments as hard copies. So uh, is it better to submit all these things in a soft form so that a teacher can access it at from at any place or a learner can submit he need not wait to find the teacher to submit the assignment and so such kind of change in procedure, say change in methodology, change in action. So that kind of new strategies shall be find out. So such kind of there are two types of reflection. One is purely the review by a self on our own activity, and the other is a much higher level to improve or to change or to evolve new strategies or new methodologies. So that's all about a reflective uh, teaching, a reflective approach, reflective practice, which is a very, very significant approach in teaching as well as in daily life. So try to reflect on our actions, both in teaching as well as in life. That will help all of us to improve further. So thanks for watching the presentation. Thank you all.